Today we catch up with Johnny Crawford, who spent 5 seasons as Chuck Connor's son in The Rifleman.
Johnny Crawford was a terrific young man who won over his legion of admirers in every role he played. Did his real life match up to the idyllic image he presented in the movies? We will expose Johnny's darkest secrets, even the ones that led to his death, today. Johnny was a famous American actor, singer, and musician who was well known to anybody who watched TV in the 1960s or 1980s. In his television career, he has played a number of roles, including Mark McCain on The Rifleman and one of the first Mouseketeers on Mickey Mouse Club. On occasion, his performances were so convincing that viewers failed to distinguish between Johnny and Mark, proving once again how perfectly he fitted his parts. The Emmy nomination he obtained at the tender age of 13 lends credence to these assertions. Thanks to his natural charisma and the efforts of his competent management, Johnny was able to expand his renown beyond The Rifleman. Along with them, he was able to broaden his career in the entertainment industry. No matter what he put out as a musician, it would sell like hotcakes and catapult him to stardom. You probably had no idea that he was occasionally unpaid despite his superb performing. Surprises were his specialty, but the one he delivered his admirers in 2021 left them heartbroken. This begs the question, why did a man of his stature have to die with so many unanswered questions? If you want to know the solution to that, you better stay until the very end. The son of Betty and Robert Lawrence Crawford Sr., Crawford came into this world in Los Angeles on March 26, 1946. His famous violinist maternal grandfather, Alfred Eugene Mirren, was of Belgian descent. He and his 3 siblings, Corydon, Robert, and Nance, were raised in a warm and supportive home. His tremendous destiny was almost given to him since he came from a highly sophisticated family background, as you surely have guessed by now. However, it wasn't because he lacked skill. In fact, he was so gifted that he and his elder brother Robert co-starred in the 1959 TV series Laramie, and his father Robert Sr. was nominated for an Emmy as well. The boy's father was up for Best Film Editor, and both of them were nominated for acting. At the age of 9, he took his already impressive portfolio to the next level. His parents encouraged him to try out for the part of a Mouseketeer on the Mickey Mouse Club, and he eventually did. After taking one glance at the little youngster, the producers knew he was the perfect choice for the part. Without hesitation, Johnny accepted the position and started collaborating with ABC to shoot the episode. The shocking part is about to come. Did you realize that ABC has never paid Johnny? Johnny and his parents specifically informed his agency that payment was unnecessary, per their understanding that it was a sentimental gesture towards ABC. They were right. ABC had no plans to compensate him. This wasn't a harsh thing to do to a kid for their family, even if most people would think so. They weren't concerned with the financial aspect, since having their kid play the part would bring them considerably more renown than money, a level of stardom that would propel their kid to heights they had never dreamed of in Hollywood. Their little prank paid off 100-fold when Johnny began landing larger and better jobs. He made several appearances on the Red Team during his 1955 debut on Disney's The Mickey Mouse Club as one of the original 24 Mouseketeers. His brother Bobby shot to fame after making an appearance on the program as well. After getting what he wanted from the program, Johnny decided to leave at the conclusion of the first season. He abruptly departed from ABC and was cast in his first feature, The Sons of Katie Elder, co-starring John Wayne, no, not the Batman, shortly after. The second quality of a great performer is self-assurance, which he acquired from his role in this film. The Little Boy Lost, a Lux Video Theater production that premiered on March 15, 1956, was Crawford's first significant break as an actor. He went on to be a part of several more big productions. In 1956, he was also featured in one of the few color episodes of the hit Western series The Lone Ranger. During his 2.5 years as a freelancer, he amassed around 60 television credits, including 3 appearances as Loretta Young on NBC's The Loretta Young Show and a cameo as Manuel in I Am an American. a crime thriller from the Sheriff of Cochise. His 1958 role as Bobby Adams in the drama Courage of Black Beauty brought him even more acclaim, and he also appeared in the 1958 Season 1 finale of The Restless Gun. The young man seemed to have a connection to every major film and television series of the day. He made an appearance in Tales of Wells Fargo's 1958 episode The Dealer as Tommy Peel. What happens, however, when an up-and-coming star is thrust into the spotlight? Sometimes they become tainted. Is Johnny at that age susceptible to the poisonous effects of fame? Let's investigate. After years of playing the supporting role, Johnny Crawford finally broke through with his role in The Rifleman. In the role, he played Mark McCain, the son of military hero Lucas McCain. We'll simply refresh your memory that the legendary Chuck Connors was the renowned combat veteran. Being one of the first performers to portray a solo parent on live television makes this a very unique job for Chuck. It goes without saying that this internationally renowned performance was a smashing success throughout its run from 1958 to 1963. The idea of a father-son connection, with all its sweetness and sourness, and the lessons it might teach viewers about life, was revolutionary at the time, since no one had ever seen anything like it on television. Thanks to his performances in 168 episodes of The Rifleman, Johnny was propelled to the pinnacle of Hollywood stardom. While it's true that Chuck Connors was mostly responsible for Johnny's rise to fame, we'll reveal how Johnny ultimately salvaged Connors' career and allowed him to play the legendary Rifleman role for much longer. From 1965 until 1969, Johnny's star continued to rise on the Big Valley, which had preceded him since The Rifleman. In this American Western series, Johnny co-starred with Barbara Stanwyck, who portrayed the widow of a rancher from the 19th century. In addition to his work in Cavalcade of America and The Count of Monte Cristo, Johnny starred in many more films and roles. At this stage in his career, Johnny was the Golden Sparrow. Anybody lucky enough to have him on board was sure to have a hit on their hands. Then he used this as a springboard to guest star on Rawhide and Hawaii Five-0, as well as The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and The Mike Douglas Show. Kids want to be Johnny and experience his lavish lifestyle because he had become a household name and a symbol of fame. At this point, things take a turn for the exciting since Johnny is about to rescue Connors. It all began in late 2013, when the original creators of The Rifleman, Levy Gardner Lavin Productions, acquired the rights from MPI. This sparked the first release of all 168 episodes in sequential sequence. The show's popularity waned in later seasons when our hero, Lucas McCain, started seeing another woman, Miss Millie. Fans were not pleased with the affair, and McCain's relationship with Millie ended in Season 4 as a result. Connors wanted to leave when things became rough due to his low salary. After seeing Connors' excellent on-screen chemistry and polite exchanges with young Johnny Crawford, executives ultimately boosted their offer, realizing he was the perfect match for Lucas McCain. James Whitmore and John Anderson were nearly considered replacements. Connors kept his job as the Rifleman after accepting the new offer. Thank goodness for Johnny, for without him, Connors would not have become the famous celebrity he is today. Crawford and Connors worked closely together, but their relationship off-screen was interesting. I think you could benefit from taking a seat for this one. As a person, Crawford did not value Connors. He even went as far as to call Connors a practical joker, describing him as someone who was a nuisance and a negative influence. Johnny had an incredible run in the performing world, one that will be remembered for generations. But losing Johnny's fame and glory would be the worst punishment imaginable. To what end is that being used? The answer will be revealed to you shortly. Since they are completely unfamiliar with Johnny and his history, many find his choice to abruptly take up music to be strange or inappropriate. As we've already established, Johnny was born into a renowned musical family. His maternal grandpa, Alfred Eugene Mierin, had a career as a violinist in Germany and Belgium before moving to the U.S. in 1914. His mother was a pianist. Frances began her profession as a violin instructor thanks to Alfred, a kind spouse who taught her to play the violin, in addition to a number of major orchestra's original violinists, including the New York Philharmonic. Like her father, his daughter had a gift for music and began playing the piano from an early age. Another famous musician was Bobby Crawford, who was Johnny's brother. The Crawford Music Corporation was co-founded by him and Irving Berlin. In 1929, he gave Warner Brothers his music repertoire after producing magnificent musicals and plays for Broadway. Bobby bequeathed Johnny and the rest of his family his musical fortune when he died in 1941. Johnny took an interest in Bobby's music after his return from the Army. During his time in the military, Johnny befriended filmmaker Charles L. Turner while stationed in Queens, New York. Because of this meeting, his passion for 1930s jazz was reignited. With a passionate stride, Johnny took up his guitar and performed in tune with his grandfather's soul. He began to be compared to Fred Astaire and Bing Crosby. Johnny had realized his musical dreams by the early 1960s. He was ready to go on to the next level now that he had the necessary experience and training. He decided to make a career out of music in 1961 and recorded his first single, Daydreams. His signing with Delphi Records was a natural fit, and he quickly gained followers thanks to his status as the son of the Rifleman. Their assistance was crucial in his song's ascent to the Billboard Top 100. Johnny released 3 albums and 8 songs throughout the course of his career, all of which found their way into the top 100 of the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Johnny Crawford, who did not want to deviate too much from the musical tradition that his grandfather had left behind, established the big band jazz and swing group known as the Johnny Crawford Dance Orchestra. Despite the fact that he had already achieved a great deal of success in the film and music sectors, he had another secret interest, which was rodeo. The man was a bundle of surprises within. For Johnny Crawford, rodeo was both his life and his death. His involvement with the American Junior Rodeo and the Professional Rodeo Cowboys was significant. Both of these rodeo organizations were highly important to him. The years of preparation he had received as the Rifleman had equipped him with almost faultless rodeo performances. The fact that he was able to steer wrestle, rope calves, ride broncs, and ride bulls was something that he took great pride in. In addition, he did some training in trick roping with the intention of becoming a specialist that was unparalleled. It was as if Johnny had made a serious pledge to shower his admirers with as many surprises as possible after he had surprised everyone with his unexpected patriotism. Johnny enrolled at a school in the United States. It was because he felt obliged to serve his country that he heeded the call to enroll in the military instead of doing anything else. From 1965 to 1967, he served as a soldier in the Vietnam War. His service lasted for 2 years. For the sake of his country, Johnny gave up his successful career and all he loved in order to serve his country. "I don't feel like I'm giving up anything," he is quoted as saying at one point. "It is something that I owe to my nation." After completing his basic training at Fort Bliss in Texas, he continued his military service by making contributions to the production of instructional films at the Army Pictorial Center in New York. When Johnny sent letters home, he would make a joke about the similarities between military haircuts and historical scalping. While he was developing his skill at the Army Pictorial Center, he took great pleasure in producing instructional DVDs that might be used to prepare soldiers for combat. In December of 1967, he was officially discharged from the military after earning the rank of sergeant. Johnny returned home after his time spent serving his nation a different person, one who was prepared to prioritize his family and his career. Once he had reached a point where he felt adequately established, he sent a message to Charlotte Samko, the girl he had loved in high school. Following a courtship that lasted for 5 years, they ultimately made the choice to be married. In addition to having a marriage that was rock solid, Johnny had the wonderful fortune of never having to terminate a romantic relationship. Additionally, he was considered to be one of the luckiest men in the Hollywood industry. Johnny was a loving father figure to many people. despite the fact that he was never given the opportunity to become a parent himself. He had a deep affection for his stepdaughters Jamie and Brenda, and he raised them in a nurturing atmosphere. As a result, they all had a lifetime of happiness and fulfillment. The fact that Johnny and his brother Bobby made many appearances together in the Mickey Mouse Club is evidence of Johnny's admiration for the concept of family working together. Through the years that followed, they eventually came together to form what is now known as the Crawford brothers. After taking a break from acting, Johnny made a successful return to the profession in 1991 by appearing in a number of highly praised films, one of which being The Gambler Returns, The Luck of the Draw, in which he worked with Chuck Connors again. From the time he began his acting career until the time he retired in 1999, he had tremendous success. He had a wonderful return in 2019 when he appeared in the silent film The Marshal, which was directed by William S. Hart. But what was it that took his supporters by surprise in 2021? And why was his passing such a terrible event? Imagine that by the time you are in your 20s, you have achieved everything that a normal superstar dreams of accomplishing, and that you have never made a single mistake along the way. Now, envision yourself having it all. When you are younger, each of these things is wonderful, but when you are older, they are insignificant and have no significance. Nevertheless, Johnny was never able to experience such pleasure in his life. Johnny was unable to recall any of his previous status as a famous actor because of his Alzheimer's disease. In spite of the fact that he was surrounded by loved ones on his deathbed, he made no attempt to identify a single person. Have you ever been in a situation when you felt the horror and loneliness that comes with a decision like that? A harsh punishment had been handed down to him by fate. During that time period, his net worth was around $500,000. Nevertheless, the most of it was consumed by medical expenses. A GoFundMe campaign was initiated in order to provide assistance with these costs. Tragically, our beloved Johnny Crawford died away on April 29, 2021. Further shocking the hero's admirers. It was COVID-19, not Alzheimer's, that killed him. Johnny Crawford, may you rest in peace. You were a bright light to the world, and we shall miss you.